Well, President Jacob Zuma says he's healthy and strong enough to return to politics. Zuma made this announcement at a briefing this weekend in which he reiterated that he's ready for the race to be the ANC's next chairperson. Those remarks, though, have been met with some kind of condemnation. Let's unpack this for you now. Bring in the ANC's veteran, one of the veterans, Omry Makgoale, who joins us via our video link this morning. Great to have you on the program, sir. Thank you so much indeed for your time. And there's just so much to pick out from what's happened throughout this weekend beyond that briefing from the former president. Broadly speaking, there were three, at least, former presidents who, in one way or the other, criticized the incumbent Cyril Ramaphosa. And there are some people suggesting that criticism from the former presidents is one thing, but making that public is another. Do those people, do you reckon, have a point?
Yes, I think they have a point, because you see, the former president all have ex-official members of the National Executive Committee. So in other words, they have the right to attend the NEC meeting and place their criticism in an NEC meeting rather than to go public. But when they go public, it normally reflects that maybe they feel that they are not listened to in the NEC meetings. And because they feel that they are not listened to in the NEC meeting, then they decide to go on public. But it's normally unprecedented for them to go on public. They should have criticized him in the NEC meeting. They should have written him a letter, the current president, and place their worries or their concerns to him directly, because they've got that access to him. So they shouldn't have gone this way, in my mind.
Right. You know, you speak about how unprecedented this moment was. I mean, former President Jacob Zuma speaking of Cyril Ramaphosa as being corrupt, calling him a side hustler during his media briefing. Many people who view Zuma as Ramaphosa's political enemy won't be surprised. But there are other people who are concerned around what this will do to the ANC, at least its image at the level of perception. Are you part of those people who are worried about the dent this might make on the organization in a context where we've seen consistent electoral decline since the dawn of our democracy?
Yes, we are concerned with that. The ANC is declining. But we cannot put the blame on the current president at the moment, Ramaphosa. The decline started from the time of President Mbeki, when he stopped Vusi Pikoli from arresting the former National Police Commissioner. That's when the decline started. So from that time onwards, it was rolling down the decline. So President Ramaphosa receives it at the bottom with all the problems that were created in the past by other former presidents. But of course, he has not helped much with the Phala Phala story. It does not help much, for the ANC. So for the image of ANC, it is not good that he had this Phala Phala story of it. But President Zuma is maybe is not qualified to criticize him about corruption, because he had, about 9 years under Gupta's control, and so he can't really condemn Ramaphosa on corruption. He's worse off, I think, in my mind.
Oh, wow. Well, in fact, Kgalema Motlanthe was also the caretaker president, we are reminded, at the time when he signed the disbandment of the Scorpion. So it sounds to me like this is just people throwing stones from glass houses.
Yes, I think you're probably right, because they were in office, this former president, and when they were in office, they failed to address the key problems of our country and the key problem of ANC. And the key problems of our country is the parliamentary electoral law. We have a flawed parliamentary electoral law that has allowed that corrupt members of parliament, are there posted by party headquarters, respective party headquarters. And this is the flaws that could have been addressed by the former president. They could have reformed the parliamentary electoral laws. And they all failed dismally to do so. And that is where the problems are. It's not really Ramaphosa's problems. It's the system's problems, electoral systems problems that has got the ANC with such leadership as it is now, one of the most corrupt leadership in ANC history. But it's because of the parliamentary electoral laws.
This is obviously not to absolve the incumbent. I mean, Ramaphosa doesn't come out of all of this smelling like a bed of roses, does he? Especially when you consider the fact that many people have said, whilst he's made the correct announcement, he's been able to put together some structures, the follow-through when it comes to implementation has been lacking. And it doesn't help that it's because some people might say we're in an election year. This is a man after his own interests, given what's unlikely or what's likely to unfold in December.
Yes, I agree with him. You see, he has pronounced on good things, but actions have been lacking low, and as I say, in terms of the country, South Africa, what we need infrastructure that is prepared. The trains that are moving from stations to take workers to, industrial areas. And we don't have the railway infrastructure functioning at the moment. It's under his watch, Ramaphosa, a former trade unionist, which is very shameful. As a former trade unionist, he should have thought of the workers' interests. The railway is the cheapest form of transport for workers. And as a former trade unionist, he failed the workers. So I'm disappointed with that. But I think the other former presidents really are not really criticizing him because they did better during their times. In my mind, they didn't do better because ANC and the country was destroyed during their times also. And the electoral laws remain as they are because they left them, those former presidents. They left them as they are. They did not reform them. And we are here because of parliamentary members of parliament that are really not up to standard.
The ANC has held the majority in parliament since the dawn of our democracy. There have been people who've been saying for years now that perhaps we don't have a Zuma, a Mbeki, a Ramaphosa problem. Perhaps it's time for us to face up to the fact that we have an ANC problem. What's your response to that?
Yeah, look, according to my analysis, it's not an ANC problem. It's a parliamentary electoral laws problem and ANC internal electoral laws problem.
But who's in charge? Ultimately, who's calling the shots in Parliament? I mean, Parliament isn't this far-removed body that's running itself. There are political interests within that organization that are largely led by an ANC that's held a majority since we've entered democracy.
I agree with you, but what I'm saying is it is not an ANC problem per se as the party. It's the parliamentary electoral laws problem. If you change these electoral laws, you'll have better MPs from the ANC, I believe. If you change the parliamentary electoral laws, you'll have better MPs from the ANC because ANC has got decent, good members throughout the country, from the Cape Agalas to Messina Bedbridge. It's got comrades of integrity. They are just not there in power because of the current parliamentary laws. So what I'm saying, change the systems. Change the systems, the parliamentary electoral systems, you'll see a better ANC in parliament, I believe.
But we're asking the same ANC to change the system so that there can be an improvement in the ANC. That's what I'm struggling to grapple with here. Where is that change going to come from if it's not from the very organization that we both agree has a lot of room for improvement?
Yeah, look, the ANC is captured at the moment, and I have to repeat this again. Since it was captured by the Guptas and Watson, it has never recovered. So it requires the population of South Africa, the people of South Africa, the citizens, to demand the right to directly elect their members of parliament, to demand the right to directly elect their president, to demand the right to directly elect their premiers, to demand the right to directly elect their mayors. These mayors, these officials must no longer be appointed by any party because these parties are all internally corrupt, most of them. And it is the party headquarters that has damaged the system. So I'm saying to the citizens of South Africa, the voters, they must take, leadership and demand that they should be allowed to elect directly their members of parliament. At the moment, they do not.
No holds barred. Omry Makgoale, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. I imagine plenty reaction to our discussion this morning, and hopefully it'll all lead to meaningful change. Omry Makgoale speaking to us there in his capacity as an ANC veteran. Thanks very much indeed for your time.